if you fully understand even the meaning of this one shloka, this one stanza, I think you have a quite highly developed understanding of Dharma. Okay? So many times this one stanza is recited at the beginning of teachings, but His Holiness sometimes jokes. Oftentimes, even at the beginning of pujas, we recite it, like Sangyechudan Zogichana, like very mindlessly, without understanding the profound meaning. If we do that, then it's just like a parrot, right? They say that there's a parrot in Tibet that could say, or at least mouth, Om Mani Padme Hum, right? Yet, not so much benefit, right? Right, Anita?
Yeah.
So anyway, I go for refuge until I'm led into the Buddha Dharma and the Supreme Assembly. We were then talking about what those three mean. The three jewels of refuge, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The real refuge is the Dharma. Why? Because the Dharma is actually the true cessation and true path. And it's only by having or cultivating those in our mental continuum, that is how much we are then free of suffering. Right? The Supreme Assembly or the Sangha jewel are the ones who have the Dharma jewel in their mental continuum. And the Buddha is the one who has, Sangye, abandon all the afflictions, as well as their seeds, as well as the imprints on the mind that serve as obscurations to the omniscient mind. The ability to see all phenomena exactly as they are, and also to see their ultimate and conventional nature directly with one mind. Something that is a unique and uncommon feature of Buddhas. Okay. So then, by the virtuous merit that I create, by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I attain the state of Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. So the first two lines state refuge, which keep us from going into a wrong path. Okay? Then the next two lines state bodhicitta, which help us from going into a lesser path. So there's this thought of the path. This it's like an analogy, right? Whereby we talk of the spiritual path, right? So just like a path can take us from where we are to a certain destination, then there are certain spiritual paths that lead us to different kind of spiritual goals, one could say. Okay? So if we say the bodhicitta prevents us from following or going into a lesser path, right? What that means is the destinations that we could have for our spiritual progress, right? The ultimate one, the attainment of Buddhahood, right? Yes? Which we differentiated from the attainment of mere nirvana, right? The mere abandonment of the afflictive emotions, right? The mere abandonment of the samsara, right, is a lesser goal compared to that of full enlightenment, right? Because even these great arhats, arhat means someone who has abandoned the afflictive emotions, someone who has attained mere liberation for someone themselves, for themselves alone, right? That state, they still haven't abandoned the subtle imprints of true existence in their mind. Therefore, they're not omniscient Buddhas. Okay? So, if you compare those two goals, then the attainment of arhatship, the attainment of mere nirvana, is a lesser goal. So how then do we, of course, compared to us, an arhat is extremely exalted, right? So again, these are relative. But how then does bodhicitta prevent us from following a lesser path? Well, the whole point is we set as our motivation at the beginning, by the virtuous merit that I create, by doing these practices, may I attain the state of a Buddha. Okay? So, this motivation to attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings, that's the essence of bodhicitta. As it says in Abhisamaya Alamkara, Semkepani Shinnincho Lama Zopa Rinpoche, right? The mind generation is the wish to attain perfect enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay? So may I attain the state of Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings? That is, in a rough sense, what the mind of bodhicitta is. Right? So by now, at the beginning, setting that as our aspiration, then the energy that we undertake with the motivation of wishing to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, then will become the cause for our enlightenment in the future. Right? If we don't have that wish to attain enlightenment, then no matter what other practices we do, even meditating on emptiness, even directly realizing emptiness, that won't become a cause for the attainment of enlightenment. Whereas with the, mind of bodhicitta, even giving, one small cup of tea to another sentient being becomes a cause of enlightenment. You understand? So that's why this is very, very, very important to, reflect on these points at the beginning. Of course, in the middle and the end also, but especially at the beginning. Okay, for interest of time, okay, I'll say this. I did want to give a complete commentary on all of these preliminary prayers here, but I think that might take more time than we have today. So let's just then go on and let's recite the invocation and praise of Manjushri. So Manjushri, as many of you know, is the Buddha of wisdom. Okay? So all of the countless Buddhas all have the same level of realization, yet certain Buddhas are associated particularly with different qualities. So Avalokiteshwara is known as the Buddha of wisdom, of compassion. Manjushri is known as the Buddha of wisdom. That doesn't mean that Avalokiteshvara has more compassion than Manjushri, and Manjushri has more compassion than wisdom than Avalokiteshvara. Nonetheless, for our minds, it sometimes can be helpful to associate certain Buddhas with certain qualities that we're trying to develop. So, Manjushri, also known as Manjugosha, or the gentle-voiced one, right? Smooth voice, gentle voice. So why gentle? Because Manjushri has abandoned the roughness of the afflictive emotions and attained the state of Buddha, right? Therefore, gentle. Then the voice, well, all Buddhas, their speech is endowed with the so-called 64, pleasant elements of the voice of Brahma, right? So melodious, pleasant to listen to, and so forth. So Manjushri was the direct guru of Lama Zopa, who is the founder of the Gelugpa tradition within Tibetan Buddhism. And Lama Zopa, when he still was training in the path, at one point, although he had direct realization, perception of Manjushri, then was able to ask Manjushri questions, face to face. And at one point, Lama Zopa asked Manjushri, is my level of realization the same as Nagarjuna's? Right. You know Nagarjuna? Oh, you know? Okay, tell him hi for me. Okay. So then Manjushri said, no. Sorry, your level of realization is not the same as Nagarjuna. So Lama Zopa said, okay, well, how then do I realize emptiness the same way Nagarjuna has? And then Manjushri said 3 things.
Study hard, accumulate merit, purify negativities.
Huh? And that's 2, right?
Make requests to the Guru.
Purify, make requests.
Okay. Do we give half credit? Huh? We give half credit. Okay. So, purify negativities and accumulate extensive merit. Okay? Next, make requests to your guru who you see as inseparable from your meditative deity. And actually in that case, Manjushri or Tara or whoever, right? Then third, extensive study of the traditional text. Okay? Making a request to your guru who you see as inseparable from the Buddha. Yeah. So like that. So this particular invocation and praise of Manjushri was then, famously, the story goes, then at Nalanda, Nalanda Monastery, then the monks were given a homework assignment. There's 500 monks, and they were given a homework assignment to compose a praise to Manjushri. Okay? Then, independently, they all composed this. They all came out with this. Right? Well, all except one. But what had happened was the other one actually composed a praise to white Manjushri, another form. There's countless forms of Manjushri, actually. Normally, we see, and here's a statue of orange Manjushri holding the sword, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Right? So we have orange Manjushri, normally, holding a sword like this. And we have white Manjushri. There's black Manjushri, red Manjushri, and then there's the fierce aspects of Manjushri. Like that. So anyway, this then is a invocation and praise of orange Manjushri. So let us recite this together. Homaging to my Guru and Protector Manjushri, who holds to his heart a scriptural text symbolic of his seeing of all things as they are, whose intelligence shines forth as the sun unclouded by delusions or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways, with the loving compassion of a father for his only son, all creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You, whose dragon-like thunder proclamation of Dharma arouses us from the stupor of our delusions and frees us from the iron chains of our karma, who wields the sword of wisdom, hewing down suffering wherever its sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of all ignorance. You, whose princely body is adorned with the 112 marks of a Buddha, who has completed the stages of achieving the highest perfections of a Bodhisattva, who has been pure from the beginning, to you, I bow down to you, O Manjushri. With the brilliance of your wisdom, O compassionate one, eliminate the darkness enclosing my mind, enlighten my intelligence and wisdom, so I may gain insight into the Buddha's words and the texts that explain it. And then Manjushri's mantra, Om Anapasana D. So, here's a suggestion, a humble suggestion. So, the Dalai Lama has mentioned that he, for, I don't know, probably now 75 plus years, has been reciting this in the morning 3 times. What you would do is actually, after the I bow down to you, O Manjushri, okay? Then you recite the mantra. Om Anapasana D. You recite that mantra, let's say 108 times, 1 mile's worth. Then at the end, you just recite D, the seed syllable of Manjushri. And how it will be done is, in one breath, try to recite 108 Ds. So, Om Anapasana, Om Anapasana, Om Anapasana.
I didn't get that. What's the last syllable?
D.
D how many times?
In one breath, at least 108 times.
When you do that? After you recite the 108
No.
times mantra?
I bow down to you, O Manjushri. You see?
Yeah.
Then you recite the mantra.
Yeah.
Then, after you recite 108 of the mantra, or more, there's no limit. Then, in one breath, you recite D.
Okay.
In one breath for at least 108 times. Yeah?
The first go Om Anapasana,
Om Anapasana, Om Anapasana, Om Anapasana, Om Anapasana. Then, like that, 108 times. Yeah? Now, if you have had, anyway, there's some visualizations associated with it, which some of you will maybe know from reading the extensive commentaries. Okay? Then, after that, with the brilliance of your wisdom and compassion, will eliminate darkness and close in my mind. Okay?
So the 108 times you don't say the final D.
Yes, no, you do.
You say.
Om Anapasana Di, Om Anapasana Di, Om Anapasana Di, Om Anapasana Di. Then D.
And then,
Yeah. Okay, now there are these prayers to the lineage lamas, which, yeah, I don't think we have time for today. Okay, let us recite then just the sutra. Now actually where you guys are in the text, you're on page 9, right?
Yes.
The meaning of the parts, the preliminary stanzas. Then it says, regarding the first in the great monasteries such as Sera and Drepung, before reciting the sutra, it is customary to recite these verses of praise and obeisance. So you with me? Page 9. So, I bow down to the mother of the conquerors of the three times, the perfection of wisdom, inexpressible by words or thoughts, which is unproduced and unceased like the entity of the sky, the object of the wisdom of unique knowledge. So now then turn back to the sutra. So, let me just mention now, because on Saturday, you guys, is very good. There's been the recitation of the Golden Light Sutra that's been going on for some time now. It's good. But, to make your time most beneficial, most powerful, there are certain things that you need to keep in mind while reciting sutras. So, the full general kind of recitation guide is actually found in the back of the Sangata Sutra. But for now, don't just start off reciting a sutra, right? But what always should be there at the beginning? Adjusting.
Seven limb prayer, refuge and seven.
Sayatam dar dar bendariswa.
Adjusting one's motivation, keeping in mind the thought of bodhicitta, right? Why are you doing this? Okay? Okay. Then of course the preliminary prayer is fine, right? But see, it's not just reciting the preliminary prayers, it is having the meaning penetrate the mind. Okay? So then the refuge and bodhicitta, there's the seven limb prayer, there's then a mandala offering complete with the 3 great requests, right? Anyway, this is found in the text, okay? But then, there's the visualization that should take place. And here, there's a couple things. One, you can visualize the Buddha in front of you. As you are reciting, you can imagine that you're receiving this sutra teaching directly from Buddha. Okay? Then, you visualize all sentient beings in the space around. And there you can visualize that as you are reciting the sutra, you're giving these teachings to all sentient beings. Okay? And as you give the teaching, then they're receiving all the realizations of the profound meaning and attain enlightenment on that basis. Okay? So mentally, actually, it's very good to just think you're inviting all the sentient beings to this space. And actually, just as lamas do before the teaching, there are certain stanzas that are recited, including one from the King of Prayers. It's like, yeah. May teach the Dharma in the language of the gods, in every language of spirits and nagas, of humans and of demons, and the voice of every form of being. Okay? So there's definitely beings that we cannot see, right? And some of them might come to this space, and you can think you're giving them these Dharma teachings. Okay? Understand? Then it is said that that actually then becomes the charity of giving Dharma. Okay? You know of the 4 types of charity? giving material things, protection from fear, love, and dharma. Dharma is the supreme giving. So then your practice of the recitation of sutra becomes the highest giving. Then it's very important to recite out loud. You know, as it was, you know, some people came yesterday. Reading the sutra. So maybe don't even call it reading the sutra or sutra reading, sutra recitation. Sutra recitation. Then it's important that we accumulate merit with our three doors, our body, speech, and mind. We accumulate merit through, you know, sitting with a, you know, good posture, you know, not leaning against walls and so forth. Okay? Of course, the mind reflecting on the meaning, but the speech in reciting this. If you just read through, okay, it's okay, but you're losing some benefit of the opportunity to collect merit with your speech. Then, of course, you know, there is the mantra Taita Taita Dare Dare Ben Dare Soha, Taita Dare Dare Ben Dare Soha, you know, which you say 7 times, which accumulates, you know, then 1,000,000 times the merit of having just recited once, right? Yeah, so like that. In my opinion, this can be analyzed, but what I noticed yesterday, there's a lot of new people that came to the sutra reading, right? Then, where were the rest of you? But anyway, yeah, I'm not sure. You can think whether someone who walks in the center for the first time, anyway. Okay, so let's recite the sutra now, keeping in mind those things. Okay? Thus did I hear at one time, the Bhagavan was dwelling on Master's Vulture's mountain in Rajgiriya, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshwara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, hello, hey, we're on the last page of the book.
It's in the first page.
The first page of the book. I just said the importance of reciting. I look up and there's like one person reciting with me. Okay? So if you say, oh, I couldn't find it, that means you're not familiar with this text.
Oh, I didn't take it home. I didn't know I could take it home. Now I know. Then I will read it up.
Okay. So let's start over. Okay? Thus did I hear at one time, the Bhagavan was dwelling on Master's Vulture's mountain in Rajgiriya, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Avalokiteshvara, looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshwara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is not also other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, accomplishmental factors in the consciousness are empty. Shariputra. Likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no accomplishmental factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifestly, completely awaken to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment, and the reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Taita, gata gata para sam gata bodhiswa. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bodhisattva arose from the concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that. It is like that. Once you practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having this spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the worlds of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Next, we're moving obstacles. I prostrate to the gathering of bikinis and the chakras, who abide in the holy yoga of using space. By your powers of clairvoyance and magic emanation, look after practitioners like a mother or child. Akasana. Akasamara Shasandara Samaraya Pe Tayatagate Parasangati Bodhi Swaha. By the teachings of the 3 supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, may inner and outer hindrances be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be pacified. May they be completely pacified. May all negative forces opposed to Dharma be completely pacified. May the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified. May it be separated from problems and harmful conditions to Dharma. May all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma. May there be auspiciousness and perfect happiness here, right now. Okay, so has Venerable Lexo given you guys homework?
Yes.
Yes.
What homework did you have?
Till page 13.
What?
Read to page 13.
To read to page 13?
Yeah.
He finished at 9. Then he
Yeah.
started to page 13.
And how many of you have read to page
You
13?
would
Huh?
I couldn't take it home.
What?
I tried reading it Venerable, but it's a little too heavy.
I didn't know I could take it home. Now I know.
I read till page 11.
Okay. That's alright. Lexo just gave you that on Thursday and today's Sunday, right? So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 1 page a day. Next week. Okay. So I'm going to give you another homework assignment. You can, no, you can't. You will memorize the Heart Sutra.
What?
Huh? Memorize the Heart Sutra. You can do it in Sanskrit. You can do it in Tibetan. You can do it in English. Okay?
By when?
Huh?
By when?
No, that
By when?
it's not
Till
in this.
when you come again? Your next visit?
What's the deadline?
So, you know, don't think of a deadline. Think of when you're going to start. Right? So then how to memorize, I think I like this. You start at the end. Okay? And you work backwards. So let's say, right? The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasapa Avalokiteshwara, those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay, so you might take that in one day. Okay, but then so just break it up. Okay, overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay, overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay, so okay, I got it right. Okay, overjoyed and highly praised that which was spoken by the Bhagavan. That spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay. Okay, so you do that. Then when you get that, you go back. Okay? World of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay? You understand? So don't read. Try to train that memory. Okay? And then just keep going up. Those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay? Then, what's next? The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra. Okay, I made a mistake, no problem. The Venerable Shariputra. Okay, yeah. Right? So do like that. Okay? Then, so that's all I'm saying. When you get that and you can recite it once through memory, it's okay. Leave it aside. But then, you know, an hour later, the Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the noble Arya Avalokiteshwara, oh, what was that again? The Bodhisattva Mahasapa Avalokiteshwara. Those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay, I got it? Okay, I got it this hour. Next hour. Okay? The Bhagavan having thus spoken. The Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasapa Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding, those surrounding in their entirety. Okay, so here, no problem to make a mistake, but learn from the mistake. Okay? Those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay, that's good. Okay? So it depends on you, you know, how much you want to devote day by day. Okay? But the point is, you know, you build up slowly like this, and by going from back to front, this is actually a trick I gleaned from actors who are doing like long soliloquies. They have to memorize their lines. Okay? What is the benefit of doing back to front? If you normally start front to back, right? As you're going through the speech, your competence gets less and less, right? Right? But here by starting from the back and going to front, then as you go on, you're getting stronger and stronger. Your confidence rises. And then you're like, okay, I can do it. Right? Isn't it? Right? If you're running a race, you want to finish strong. Right? Okay. This is in a race. just that little one, if you do one little thing like that, what? 2 weeks. No problem, right? So then some of you who might be even more motivated, right? Like His Holiness, what he said, he memorized the entire Praise of Dependent Origination by Tsongkhapa in one morning. Hello? Yeah, Tendratupa.
How long is that?
50 stanzas.
Yeah, something like that. Well, first of all, Avan, you know that, right? The Praise of Dependent Origination. Okay. Can you see my face? What? Really? Oh, I've taught that here before. I guess you weren't here.
No, I wasn't.
Anyway, yeah, it's like around 50 stanzas. It's great. It's great class. Okay. So my point is, now I know what you guys are gonna say. Oh no, I'm so busy, I can't do it. I have work, right? This is what I'm saying. You split it up throughout the day, right? I'm not saying you memorize for an hour in the morning. You get to this one thing enough that you can say it without looking at the text one time, and then leave. Okay? Or you're standing at in line at Chai Point. Okay? Right? Okay. The Bhagavan having thus spoken. Others are looking, reading the menu. You say the Bhagavan having thus spoken. The Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasava Avalokiteshwara, and those surrounding in their entire, along with the world of gods, humans, Gandharvas. What was that? Oh, Asuras. Gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharva were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Bhagavan. Yes. Okay. Good.
Does it help you write?
So then that's the other thing. When you then want to refine, okay, it is also good to write it. By memory. Okay? Then you know exactly. Okay, because just as an example, right, I've kind of, there's that list, right? Gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas. Right? So then you can, like, maybe you get it wrong. You think gods, asuras, Gandharvas, and humans. Or I don't know, whatever, right? So sometimes our memory is like that. It's like kind of close enough. We get all four, but it's in the wrong order. Yeah? Close enough is good enough? No. We want perfection. Right? So then you correct it and you say, okay, I'm going to watch out for that mistake. What do you think? Okay, so how many of you want to then memorize the Sanskrit?
Later. Anyway, Rinpoche will come only in December.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay, I will memorize the Sanskrit, but Rinpoche is only coming in December. I'll do it so I can impress Rinpoche. Right? So I'll do it right before he comes so it's fresh. If I memorize it now, I'll have to, keep putting in effort between now and December. So yeah, talk to me in November. Right? Right? That's why, when's the deadline? Because, tell me the deadline so a week before the deadline I can cram. So I can put off my effort until the deadline is...
No, I thought you wanted us to know it by next weekend. That's what I thought.
It's not in Sanskrit.
No. When I
Here you don't have the Sanskrit version. There is a
Yeah.
Sanskrit version.
I thought it was a homework for next weekend.
Just check with the...
Okay. Look. Look. You guys. This is to benefit you, right? Huh? You guys reciting these things by memory, right? It doesn't, directly, well, okay. You could say if you do it with bodhicitta motivation, actually it will benefit all sentient beings and so forth. But fundamentally, it's benefiting you. Right? So, do it. If you need me to be there with a, like a school teacher, right? Do you need me to be that kind of guy? No. You guys are all the experienced students. You should have the maturity. Right? So do it. If you need a deadline, how about this? By the next time I see you. The next time I come next month, right? What?
Wheel
Yeah,
turning
sure,
day.
yeah.
Huh?
Wheel turning day.
Okay? No problem. That means start today. So we've already started, right? We have that last one. Huh? Yes?
Spoken by the Bhagavan.
What? Yeah, say it.
That's spoken by the Bhagavan
Overjoyed and highly praised.
and highly praised that spoken.
No. I'm saying the Bhagavan having thus spoken. Okay, now go. Don't look at your book. The Bhagavan having thus spoken. You, Anita,
What?
you.
You're
Huh?
spoken somewhere else.
What?
This is the last paragraph. She wants the last
The,
phrase.
oh.
No, I'm not saying last phrase. Last phrase. Come on. Last paragraph. Okay, no one looking. Okay, anyway, the Bhagavan having thus spoken.
The Venerable Shariputra and the Mahasata are Avalokiteshwara and those surrounding in the entirety along with the world of humans, asuras, gods and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan.
Not bad. So now, look at it and tell me the mistakes.
Now I know the order of the four
Yeah, and there's no gods. It's asuras. Oh, sorry. Gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas. And Shariputra. Okay? And Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshwara. Okay? Good. So anyway, that's fine. Leave it. I'm going to ask you guys at the end of class. Okay? Okay, anyway, look. Okay. Can we look at the time now? It's 12:30. We have till 1. And now we're getting to the actual commentary. Okay, if there's slightly different words,
No, there's another version here on the next page. So I'm just telling you, the one we are memorizing is
It's the same, it's exactly the same.
No, it's Transcendent Victor. See, check this other one.
different translation. It's the same.
yeah, so let's do the one at the last page of this book. Okay? That's the standard one.
Last page. This one. Page 3 and 4.
Okay? So now let's continue. We're back to page 9. What you guys should do, Alexok was right to give you this kind of homework assignment. You should be reading ahead in the commentary. There's also other commentaries of this this text, the Heart Sutra, that it would be good to read. Right? There's one by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. There's one by my own precious guru, Geshe Sonam Rinchen. This is probably the most famous Mahayana Sutra. Right? It's recited daily in the Tibetan monasteries, as well as the Chinese tradition, Korea, Zen tradition, so forth. Okay, so there's no shortage of commentaries on this sutra. This one here is actually very brief, only 18 pages. Okay, so It's extremely brief. Extremely brief. So what we're going to have to do, what I'm viewing my job is to then supplement this with a lot of extra material that will help you unlock the meaning. Okay? So although maybe some of you are like, wait a minute, we started at 10, we spent 2 hours on like one stanza, no problem. When we study the Abhisamaya Alamkara, which is what? The Abhisamaya Alamkara is the commentary on the hidden meaning of the Prajnaparamita Sutras. Right? Then to go from the kind of title preliminary to the first stanza, it takes several months. Okay? Because there's all these things that we need to know. Right? What is the perfection of wisdom? Right? That's just in the title. So then, perfection of wisdom. What is wisdom? What is the perfection? All these kind of details, they're actually very important. Okay? So, here, we're on page 9, and then there's the preliminary stanzas. So, as I said, we say regarding the first, in the great monasteries such as Sera and Drepung, before reciting the sutra, it is customary to recite these verses of praise and obeisance. Okay? So I bow down to the mother of the conquerors of the 3 times, the perfection of wisdom, inexpressible by words or thoughts, which is unproduced and unceased like the entity of the sky, the object of wisdom of unique knowledge. Okay, so it's going to get into the meaning a little bit later. Anyway, let me go a little bit and then I'll explain this, because it's talked about why the perfection of wisdom is known as the mother. Okay, that's a very important point. But let me just say this. It is said that these verses are words recited by the Buddha's son Rahula to his mother. The meaning is that the wisdom that goes and is gone beyond samsara does so by means of the wisdom that directly realizes emptiness. That wisdom is not an object that can be expressed by speaking words or thinking thoughts. Because that wisdom is not created by way of its own entity, it is not destroyed, but like the expanse of sky is the negation of being established by way of its own entity. The very thing which serves as a sphere of the unique knowledge of meditative equipoise is the mother that gives birth to all the conquerors of the 3 times. It is obeisance to the wisdom that knows emptiness directly. Okay, so let's talk about the next page, but let me just say this, okay? So, the mother of the conquerors of the 3 times, the perfection of wisdom, okay? So, the actual perfection of wisdom is the wisdom directly realizing emptiness in the continuum of a Buddha. Okay? Now, there's a little bit of debate about this, but see, I think in the Prasangika Madhyamika school, they actually hold that the perfection of wisdom also does exist in the continuum of bodhisattvas. In which case, the perfection of wisdom could be known as, the wisdom directly realizing emptiness, conjoined with the mind of bodhicitta. Okay. All right. in general, you know, we have wisdom and method. Wisdom and method. And we have wisdom realizing emptiness is known as the mother, and the method is known as the father. Okay? So what is the method? Bodhicitta. Okay? So here there's an explanation that, like, okay, in the like caste system, right? So someone, let's explain it like this. Someone who is, you know, a mother who is Indian can give birth to a child of any nationality, right? Depending on the father, right? But a father, an Indian father, his son will be Indian, right? You understand? Okay. So similarly, in the Prasangika Madhyamika school, all Arya beings, all arhats, right, realize emptiness directly. Okay? So then the wisdom realizing emptiness is known as the mother, because that can give rise to any type of arhat. How many arhats are there?
Three.
Three different kinds of arhats. There's the Shravaka arhat, Prateka Buddha arhat, and Mahayana arhat. Mahayana arhat means Buddha. Okay? So all three of those have direct realization of emptiness. But depending on the method, the father, right? If conjoined with bodhicitta, then one meditates on emptiness, one then will become a Buddha. If conjoined with the method of wishing to attain the state of Prateka Buddha arhat, and then one realizes emptiness and meditates on it directly, one will become Prateka Buddha arhat. If one wants to become a Shravaka, meditates on emptiness, one will become a Shravaka arhat. Okay? Understand? Alright. So, here, this actually, you know, one could say, the mother of the conquerors of the three times, conquerors means Buddhas, and so in the Sautrantika Madhyamika system, okay, to attain our arhatship, one doesn't necessarily need to realize emptiness. Okay? So here, the mother of the conquerors means the wisdom directly realizing emptiness in the mind stream of a Buddha, right? So that then becomes the cause for Buddhas. Three times means past, present, future. Okay? You guys understand? Okay, listen. I know, Aban, you have this thing like, why are we talking about two different tenet systems? So I'm just going to keep it a little bit simple. We have two types of Madhyamika tenet systems, Sautrantika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika. In the Sautrantika Madhyamika, the perfection of wisdom is the wisdom that directly realizes emptiness in the mind stream of a Buddha. Prasangika Madhyamika, it's the mind directly realizing emptiness conjoined with bodhicitta, which means it also exists in the mind stream of a bodhisattva. Right? Okay? But in both systems, the perfection of wisdom is known as the mother of the conquerors of the three times. Right? Because, well, it's easier in the Prasangika system because that wisdom directly realizing emptiness conjoined with bodhicitta becomes the cause. Mother is the cause of the child, right? So the wisdom directly realizing emptiness in the continuum of an Arya Bodhisattva becomes the cause for them to attain enlightenment. Yes? Okay. Now, when we get to the Sautrantika Madhyamika system, it gets a little bit muddy, but not too much. Because you see, like it says in the Madhyamika Avatara, right? It says that, that the when Chandrakirti, he pays homage to great compassion, right? He says that, the Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas. Sorry. The Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas are born from Buddhas. The Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are born from great compassion. Therefore, Chandrakirti praises great compassion at the beginning. Okay? So how then are the Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas born from Buddhas? How does that happen?
Buddha teaches them.
Yes. So the Buddha teaches the Dharma that then the Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas then practice and then attain their state of nirvana, right? Okay? Then what enables the Buddha to teach? His realization of the Dharmakaya. Because he has become omniscient, then he is able to teach according to the various disciples' needs. Okay? So in that way, then the Buddha becomes the cause then of any, one traversing the path. And that omniscient mind of the Buddha is the enabling factor for the Buddha to teach. Therefore you can say, the perfection of wisdom, the omniscient mind of Buddha is then the cause of the conquerors. Means one particular Buddha who has attained omniscience, then when he then teaches others who then will become bodhisattvas and then later Buddhas, that then is the cause of them. Huh? You understand? That would be a nice exam question, by the way, right? Explain how, in the two systems of the Sachantika and Prasangika Madhyamika, that the perfection of wisdom then becomes the mother of the conquerors of the three times. Isn't that a good exam question? Nice. The perfection of wisdom, inexpressible by words or thoughts. Huh? So what does that mean? Is it inexpressible? Then why are these sutras? Why did not Arjuna compose all those texts? Okay. So, look. Inexpressible doesn't mean, totally inexpressible. Although some people in the past, they thought this, right? They were like, it's totally beyond conception, right? It's totally beyond thought, beyond words, so don't use words. They'll just add to conceptual elaboration, okay? No, that's not the case. It's like the Zen saying, the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon, but in reliance on the finger, we can then ascertain the actual moon, right? Okay? So at our point, we need to rely on words, we need to rely on conceptual thought, but we use that like a raft to cross the river. We use the raft to cross the river. Once we get to the other side, we leave the raft behind, right? So in a similar way, we need to use words and thought, conceptual thought, to arrive at the meaning of emptiness. But, like it says, okay, let me give you an example. I can explain in words, right? Whatever, like, what the closest beach in where I grew up in Hawaii, what that looks like. Okay? In dependence on those words, you get some idea, right? But it's nothing like when you actually arrive there and then see, right? Right? But in dependence on the words, you would get there. I mean, first you have to fly to Hawaii. Then I'll say like, okay, then you take the the Pali Highway. When you get to this intersection, and you take a right on this street, and you take a left at Buzz's Steakhouse and whatever, if Buzz's Steakhouse still exists, right? Then you can get there, right? Hmm? So, inexpressible by words and thought means, okay, that the type of realization that you'll get in dependence on words and thought is not like the direct realization, right? That happens when one attains the Arya paths. Okay? Alright. So now, which is unproduced and unceased, like the entity of the sky, the object of wisdom of unique knowledge. Okay? So here, I think those next two lines, it's referring to emptiness. Okay? Emptiness is the object of wisdom of unique knowledge. Okay? The unique knowledge of meditative equipoise. Okay? And, it says, because that wisdom is not created by way of its own entity and is not destroyed. Okay, fine. So, if something is created by way of its own entity, right, that means it truly exists. Okay? Because that wisdom is not created by way of its own entity, it is not destroyed. But like the expansive sky is the negation of being established by way of its own entity. Interesting. Okay. So anyway, I would like to read the Tibetan on this, but just reading the stanza itself, I would say that is all referring to emptiness. So emptiness is unproduced and unceased. Okay? Like the entity of the sky is the mere lack of obstructive contact. So emptiness is the mere lack of inherent existence. That, which is, unproduced, unceased, like the entity of the sky, emptiness is the object of wisdom of unique knowledge, the meditative equipoise of an Arya being. Okay? If I just looked at the stanza, that's how I would explain it. But here, this commentator, or maybe the translator, who knows, is giving it a little bit different twist. They're saying that unique knowledge, the perfection of wisdom, is, we would have to say, not inherently produced. Okay? And not inherently ceasing. Okay? Then, like the expanse of the sky, is the negation of being established by way of its own entity. So, right. The perfection of wisdom, not inherently produced, not inherently ceasing. Yeah. The very thing which serves as the sphere of unique knowledge. Yeah. You would then have to say that, it's like the ultimate nature of the perfection of wisdom is the very thing which serves as the sphere of unique knowledge of meditative equipoise, is the mother that gives birth to all conquerors of 3 times. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So then that verse says, then it is obeisance to the wisdom that knows emptiness directly. Okay. Next, actual sutra. There's the meaning of the title, the meaning of the text, the meaning of the title. That which in the language of India is Bhagavati Prajna Paramita Hridaya, which is translated in Tibetan as, Choe Dema, Shariputra Chimpa, Ningpo, right? Which then is translated into English as the heart of the transcendent and victorious perfection of wisdom. And that is the title of the sutra. Regarding the purpose for stating the title, if a name were not given, there would be no way of finding out which sutra it was. Therefore, hence the name is stated at the beginning. Regarding the word heart, for example, the place where all consciousness that pervades the entire body is gathered is called the heart. In the same way, the meaning of the vast, intermediate, and condensed Mother Sutras are gathered here. Therefore, it is called the heart, the Sutra of Sutras, or the Heart of Sutras. All right. So here, the Mother Sutras are the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. And as we said, the Perfection of Wisdom is known as the Mother because it gives rise to all conquerors of the three times, or on even a more profound level, it gives rise to all Arya beings of the three vehicles. Okay?
So conquerors is Arya beings or is it Buddhas?
Conquerors, Buddhas. Okay? And so I think although in the last ones you guys went through the various Prajnaparamita sutras, right?
Yes.
Their existence at least. There's 100,000 line, 25,000 verse, 100,000 stanza, 25,000 stanza, 8,000 stanza. There's the Vajrapada Sutra, many different sutras, all in the Perfection of Wisdom kind of genre. This then condenses all the meaning, heart, essence, right? Okay. So what do we have? A definition of a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra.
The explicit meaning, the subject matter is emptiness.
Huh? No, give a definition of a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra.
Subject matter is perfection of wisdom.
If something's subject matter is the perfection of wisdom, is it necessarily the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra?
No.
Okay, then a definition has to fulfill those qualities, right? Huh?
The intended disciples are Mahayana practitioners.
Give a definition. Full one. Wait, this is your 4th class, right?
Which deals with the wisdom of emptiness. That is the wisdom perfection, right?
You guys understand definition, right? Definition has to be, if something is that definition, it's necessarily definindum. If something is a definindum, it's necessarily a definition, right? So if you just say something that is, deals with the perfection of wisdom, it's a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, then Nagarjuna's Mula Madhyamika is it a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra because it deals with the perfection of wisdom.
It wasn't spoken by Shakyamuni Buddha.
Ah! So then, if something is a sutra, it necessarily has to be spoken by Shakyamuni Buddha?
Or blessed by Buddha, or by subsequent permission.
So let's get a definition. You need to have all these things in there.
So any sutra has to be the word of the Buddha. It's not just perfection of wisdom.
That's right. And not Shakyamuni Buddha. What about Kashyapa Buddha? What about, the other Buddhas?
Oh.
Did Kashyapa Buddha teach Perfection of Wisdom Sutras?
Yeah.
Yes. Supreme emanation God.
Oh my God. But I'm just guessing. All Buddha need to teach.
Alright. This is homework assignment number 2 then. We need an airtight definition of what it means to be a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Airtight. Okay?
Where do we get that from?
Research.
Thinking about it. So look, you try one, okay? Or maybe this is even a good discussion question. Okay?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then if someone says, oh, something whose explicit subject matter is emptiness, that's the definition of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Okay? Then, my own speech, I say, oh, all phenomena lack inherent existence. Those words that I just spoke, is that a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra?
No.
No. It is because, then you debate.
Spoken by Buddha.
Okay. So then, something whose explicit subject matter is emptiness spoken by Buddha, that means Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Oh! Then it has to be given on Vulture's Peak?
Really? Really?
That's
All
not
those were
No way. Because the Vajrakara Sutra was given in, Jetta Grove, right? Not on Vulture's Peak, right? So in this way, think of all these things. Okay? I think that's a very nice question, right?
The definition of
Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Which then, what then has to be? If something is a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, it has to be that definition. If something is that definition, it then has to be a Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. If something is not that definition, there's the so-called 8 doors of pervasion, right? So then, actually forget about a homework question. Maybe you guys can have that as a discussion question. And then do that. And do like just what we were doing. Then someone says, oh, it has to be done at Vulture's Peak. Then someone said, no, but what about the Vajrakara Sutra? That's a, Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, but it's not taught at Vulture's Peak. Okay, it can't be that way. Oh, right? Huh? Right? Hey, hello. Hey, in India, I have a question. The mothers, they spoon feed their babies for how many years? Huh? 2 years? Depends on the mother. Okay. Good answer. Okay. Well, this mother, right? How long have I been coming here? Right? Some of you have been coming also a long time. So no more spoon feeding. With this basic program, this is serious, right? Okay. So I could spoon food you. Oh, here's the definition. Eat your peas and carrots. No more. You guys can figure it out. It might be in some texts, right? But you guys can figure this out. This is not that difficult.
Actually, the 3 wheel of turning, we are right.
Yeah.
3 wheel of turning. Out of that, the first one is the Four Noble Truths, right? And this one, second or third?
second.
Second, right?
Yes.
So here it deals with the our Four Noble Truths, the last one, the cessations, the truth of cessations part, right? So as the Arya Deva said, liberation Tharvara to Puji.
Yeah.
Right. So since for that reason, right? So it's all right. Just the Kung Dusas Yura. The Dashida, need the Tenzin Ganga Giri, Kung Dusas Yura. Kung Dusas they change it. Chinara the Shakyamuni Buddha.
Okay. Good job. Okay. Alright. Yeah. So, what do we think? Just one thing he was saying, right? Of the Four Noble Truths, he was saying, the first turning of the wheel of Dharma, and Lexo told me, he taught you all the definitions of the 3 turnings of the wheel of Dharma. Yes?
Yes, he did.
Yes,
He did. Okay?
Yeah.
Alright. So if I ask you what is the definition of the first turning of the Dharma?
That's the four noble truths.
What?
The Four Noble Truths.
No, definition of.
Oh. He told us what the 3. I remember that.
Yeah?
And the third turning of the wheel was an explanation of God's truth. First is about suffering. And
Yeah, even Geshe-la taught us.
There's a
Yeah.
chant.
Oh, even Geshe-la told you. And Lexo told you. And so now you tell me.
But it wasn't the Prasangika Madhyamika definition.
I mean, okay, I'll take, if you have Sansatika Madhyamika definition, if you have Sem Samba definition, I'll take any definition.
Give us a hint. Just the start. Just the start. How does it go?
Okay.
one thing truly
Do I need to go into the whole how to listen and explain the teachings again? Right? The three
First
pots.
turning, no. Yeah, first turning
Huh?
he taught that everything is truly existent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then nothing is truly existent.
That they exist from their own side objectively.
Okay, look.
First one was
Okay. Hello. Definition. Okay. So, if you say, oh yeah, the Buddha taught the first turning of the wheel of Dharma at Sarnath. Right? Okay, it's true, but it's not the definition of what makes something a first turning of the wheel. Right? Okay?
Objective existence.
So what's the definition?
With discrimination.
Huh? Mama, spoon feed me.
Back at you.
Okay, but did I hear you correctly? Geshe Dojo Damdru told you all about this. Lexola told you all about this. Right? So then,
I'm not sure which
Third-
answer you're looking for.
third time is a charm.
They told us what it was about. I don't know if they told us the definition. They told us what
Okay.
it was about.
Alright.
Power.
Alright. Anyway. Look. So part of this also falls on you, right? There needs to be a, how do you say it? As the late Geshe, Ken Rinpoche Lama Nundrup, who is the former abbot of Koban Monastery, he told Lexo, who then, shared this with me. He said to Lexo, when you go and study, make sure you understand every word. Make sure you understand every word of what you're studying. Okay. So part of this, it falls on you, right? So then, now we're on page 9. This whole text we're going through is 18 pages. That means in terms of pages, we're halfway done. Then you're telling me something like Prajaparamita? Oh, yeah, something having to do with emptiness? Right? That means your standards aren't high enough. Right? This is a 4th class. You guys should know that by now, in my opinion. Right? Right? Am I giving you guys too high standards to expect that by 4th class something like the Prajaparamita would be well defined? Right? And then, if you are in a class and Lexok then has gone through, okay, the first turning wheel of Dharma is like this, then you need to then, think, then how can I define it? And then you can say, hey, okay, Lexok, I understand what you're saying, so let me check my understanding against you. Can we then, is it fair to define a first turning a wheel of Dharma as a Hinayana Sutra whose explicit subject matter is the Four Noble Truths. Then you say, Alexa, if I were to define that as the first turning of the wheel of Dharma, would that be okay? An uncommon Hinayana Sutra, whose explicit subject matter is the Four Noble Truths. Huh? So what do you think? Can we define, can we say the first turning of the wheel of Dharma, that's the definition?
Yes, anybody.
Huh? Now, Anita was saying, oh, it taught that all phenomena are truly existent. Okay? So now, if I said an uncommon Hinayana Sutra that taught that all phenomena are truly existent, would that be the definition of the first turning of the wheel of Dharma?
I think so.
No.
No?
No.
If no, why not?
Because there are some in the first turning of wheel of the Dharma that do talk about lack of inherent existence. And of course the subject matters, main subject matters, not emptiness anyway.
Who? Huh? Their main subject matter is not emptiness? Who's they?
First turning of wheel of Dharma.
Okay, anyway.
It's objective existence.
Alright. So these are things. Okay, now look. Okay. As I've mentioned, you know. Okay. No problem.
So the first turning of the wheel doesn't contain teachings on emptiness. I remember that.
Yeah, that's what I
Because
said.
I had even asked him that means that
Objective
the
existence.
Hinayana practitioners don't have a hope of becoming
Don't
Buddha
understand it, so
because they don't have emptiness in their teaching.
Okay. So this actually, Abban, we need to differentiate between the Sacchantika and Prasangika Madhyamika system to answer that question.
But that's the second turning of the
No. Look. According to the Prasangika Madhyamika system, right? In order to attain Hinayana Arhatship, does one need to realize emptiness?
No.
Prasangika Madhyamika.
Oh, I don't know.
No, listen. What is the root of samsara? Clinging to true existence.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So in order to attain liberation, one needs to abandon the clinging to true existence.
Yes.
In order to abandon the clinging to true existence, one needs to realize the lack of true existence. One needs to realize emptiness. Right? Yes?
Yes.
So, in the Prasangika Madhyamika system, a Hinayana heart necessarily realizes emptiness. Yes or no?
Hinayana practitioner.
Yeah.
How does a Prasangika person decide what a Hinayana practitioner should do or not do? It's a different system altogether. I mean, they've done the first part of it and we're the second part of it. And so how do you decide what they're supposed to... This is the Theravada system and all that.
No. Okay.
Isn't Hinayana
No,
and
look.
Theravada all the same? It's the same.
Yeah, Theravada is the same.
So they don't have that, apparently. That's what I understood the last time. And that's why I asked him how do they...
Okay.
They don't have this.
See, alright, this is what I was starting to say before.
Hinayana doesn't have
Hinayana has bodhicitta but not wisdom, not the emptiness.
No, I think it doesn't.
Isn't that right? They don't have the wisdom of emptiness. But theirs is... No. Theravada has bodhicitta. Of course, Thich Nhat Hanh teaches bodhicitta all the time. That's what his main teaching is about.
Okay,
Oh
look,
my
look,
goodness.
look. Yeah, I'm feeling that way too. So, now, look, I have, I'm very aware of the fact it's very difficult for you guys. So just so you know, I've actually stated to the management of the center that they should get a resident teacher. Really?
Will you come?
You get a resident teacher. You look at the other places that are doing this basic program, right? Root Institute, they have 4 classes a week. A week.
Oh.
Review classes. Daily meditation, right? So we're doing this. I'm gonna hold you guys to a very high standard, right? Or what? Do you just want to play around, kind of get a good enough knowledge? Oh, Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, that talks about emptiness, right? Huh? We want to leave our level of understanding at that? No way. Right? Hello?
Yes.
Remember our guru, the Dalai Lama? What is his main wish? One of the main goals he's working on? Re-establishing the Nalanda tradition in the place of his birth. So where is that? Here. Who is that? Huh? You. Thank you. Yes. Not someone else. Not, oh, don't worry, yeah, those monks in Avalokiteshwara, they'll study quite well. I'm just gonna, take it easy and, No, right? Right? If not you, who? If not now, when, right? Okay? So, I said, you should get a resident teacher who would be living in Bangalore. You can get
We want you, but we don't want resident teachers.
Who then can teach you 4 days a week. You can answer all these questions. You can get all the knowledge and so forth. Okay? But then I hear this, no, but we want you. Well,
Please come, I can give you
No.
a place to stay.
no.
A lovely place to stay. Honestly, I mean it.
Okay, yeah. Look, this is not my point.
Free of cost.
This is not my point. My point is, right, then, if you guys then say, no, but we want you, right, I'm coming once a month, right?
So if you're
Lexok is coming once a month. We come on weekends. That means 2 days on a weekend, right? And like yesterday, we did meditation. We didn't even do Heart Sutra. So then, what I was saying is, you guys get, in terms of class, in a month, what the other centers do in a week.
No one is qualified, Venerable.
Who do you mean, no one's qualified?
You see, the in-depth teachers are very few.
Shh. I'm not, no. You're not getting my point. I'm saying, how do we fill that gap?
come and stay here.
He doesn't want to stay.
Thank you. You hear that? I said, how can we fill the gap? The answer isn't me coming to move here. I'm a full-time student in Avalokiteshwara. I have responsibilities there.
You go there in the weekends.
No, the right answer is by your own efforts. Right? There are plenty of, commentaries on this. You can watch, YouTube or whatever, right? There's other FPMT centers that are doing this. You can listen, you can read, you can understand. But the point is, when you read, have a very critical mind. And be like, okay, and I might just do it next time. I'll say, hey, okay, Anita, thanks for coming. Can you turn to page 11? There's this stanza. Can you explain it for the whole class? Right?
We can't, that's the problem.
No, yeah. So, if you don't have that, you then make a note and say, okay, Namjong, wait a minute. This passage is a bit obscure to me. I'm not understanding all the meaning, right? Or in your discussion groups, okay, you can also do that.
In the discussion groups, we all agree that it's obscure.
That's all. Nobody's there to explain what it means.
Okay. Then we also need to then look at. You can think of some way then, maybe through technological means, that we can then get that feedback loop happening better, right? Okay. All right. I'm gonna go for until 1:30.
Please, could you also teach us how to do a meditation on emptiness? Because that's part of our homework.
Oh,
Yeah, we're supposed to do on relevant subjects meditation, not just meditate.
yeah.
2.5 hours a
So
week
what is it?
on emptiness, and if you could please tell us how it's done.
Yes, yes.
We can come back after lunch. I don't know. When are you coming again, Nandana?
Next month.
Huh? When am I coming again?
Next month.
I don't know. Okay. You see, in the last thing we did, the essence of nectar, right at the end, we were talking about how to meditate on emptiness, right? Did you come for that?
I've been coming for all of you.
Yeah. So, on that level,
All right, okay.
you should know.
About the body and the organs and all that. Penetrating yourself, right?
Maybe. So there's
Getting closer into yourself to locate where you are.
Okay. All right. I wanted to do a little bit more in the text, but maybe we'll use the remaining time just to review the key points of meditating on emptiness. Okay. So I alluded to it earlier today, but the one that is mentioned in the Liberation of the Palm of Your Hand is called the Four Essentials. Okay. First is identifying the object of negation. Okay? So we all can say very beautifully, oh, what is emptiness? Oh, it's the lack of inherent existence. Right? But what is inherent existence? What does that mean? So as the Bodhisattva Shantideva says in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, then, without contacting the object of negation, ascertaining its lack of existence is impossible. Okay?
Without?
Contacting, without identifying the object of negation, ascertaining its non-existence is impossible. Okay? So the first step in realizing emptiness is to understand what is being negated. We say emptiness is the lack of inherent existence. Okay, what is inherent existence? Yeah?
The I.
Huh?
It's the I. That's what it is, isn't it? Object of negation. Yeah, I watched that video.
Okay. Avan. So one thing to keep in mind, what is being negated Does it exist?
No.
No. Okay. Does it exist ultimately? No. Does it exist conventionally? No.
Conventionally? Yes.
No, but inherent existence.
Those appears.
Does inherent existence exist conventionally?
No.
No, no, no.
No way.
Inherent. No, no, no. Yes.
No, it doesn't. Now, actually, see, now I get to debate with her a bit, because last time she was like, oh, well, you're going into the Sajnantika Prasangika distinctions. The Sajnantikas accept the conventional existence of inherent existence. Or in other words, that inherent existence exists conventionally. They accept that. Prasangikas say, no way, Jose. Okay? Alright. So, given that, then when you say, oh, what is the object of negation? It's the I. No way, Jose. Why not? Because the I exists conventionally. Right? So what is being negated is something that doesn't exist conventionally or ultimately. So it's not the I that's being negated, but the inherent existence of the I. Okay? So anyway, then in the text it says, to identify what that then means to identify, well, there's certain strategies here. Different ways of approaching it. So one thing is, you see, we use all those different synonyms: true existence, inherent existence, existence from the object's own side, existence by means of the object's own characteristics, right? They're all kind of same meaning. They all equally don't exist. But this is what we were saying, different ways to approach the same phenomena. Well, in this case it's the non-existent. But existence from the object's own side means that if you search on the object's basis of designation, that the object will be findable. That's what it means to exist from the object's own side. Okay? So let me give you a real example here. If we look for a bond, okay, the basis of designation of a bond is her body and mind. Yes? Now, if we look among the five aggregates, do we find a bond? Do we find something we can say, aha, this is a bond? No, we don't. So, the other lower philosophical schools say, or they're kind of obligated to say, yes, we will find. And they'll say, oh, the subtle consciousness, that thing that goes on from life to life, that is a bond. Because if that's not a bond, we don't have a way of positing the continuity of a person from life to life. Which is a kind of axiomatic starting point of the Buddhist system. Right? That there is a person that continues from life to life. That karma and effect is feasible. Right? So then, the rest of the schools all point to something within the five aggregates and they say, this is the example of the person. Okay? Prasangika say, no. There's nothing that's findable among the five aggregates that we can say this is the person, yet the person exists conventionally. So anyway, in this identification of the object of negation, it is very important to then keep in mind the distinction between the two truths, the conventional truth and the ultimate truth. The conventional truth are all the things that are commonly accepted in the world right? For something to exist conventionally, then there's those criteria, right? Has to be renowned to a worldly consciousness. It cannot be contradicted by another worldly consciousness, and it cannot be contradicted by a mind analyzing the ultimate, right? I remember discussing this many times before. So what does that then mean? The stick, right, is conventionally existent. It appears to a worldly consciousness means my eye consciousness. Eye consciousness is a worldly consciousness because my eye consciousness doesn't analyze whether a phenomena is truly existent or not. Conventional worldly consciousness. Okay? It appears. It's renowned to that. Okay? So it fulfills that first criteria. But a mirage, although it appears to an eye consciousness to be water, it is then doesn't fulfill the second criteria. It is contradicted by another worldly consciousness. When we then go there to the sand and we want to drink, another worldly consciousness, when we try to scoop up and we just find sand, it contradicts our earlier appearance of there being water there. So it doesn't fulfill the second criteria, which then means water from the side of the mirage doesn't conventionally exist, although it appears to a conventional consciousness. Yes? Third criteria is not refuted by a consciousness analyzing ultimate. So here, what does that then say? Inherent existence. Inherent existence doesn't even exist conventionally. Inherent existence appears to a conventional consciousness. In the present Kikumanjamika system, all of our consciousnesses, in fact, all of the sense consciousnesses of someone who is not a Buddha are necessarily mistaken. Mistaken due to the fact that inherent existence appears to them. Even a 10th ground Bodhisattva, who's not in direct meditative equipoise on emptiness, when they arise from the meditation, they have the same appearance of true existence as we have right now. Their eye consciousness, things appear in the same way.
The definitions of
Huh?
the true existence, to what we can call true existence, true existence or inherent existence. Can you learn a religion names?
Yeah, so this is what I was saying, right? He was saying, what then, how do we then define true existence? And I was saying, there's many ways to define it. But one, and what I'm emphasizing right now, is that something will be findable from the side of its basis of designation. Right? Right? I mean in Tibetan, takdun sewe tsena neduyupa. Right? But other ways to look at it is also, existing in the way that it appears. Right? Nawatar dru. Right? So, anyway, we're kind of out of time. So let me just finish this point. Okay? So, inherent existence appears to a conventional consciousness. It is not refuted by another conventional consciousness, but it is refuted by a consciousness analyzing the ultimate. So, inherent existence does not exist conventionally. It doesn't exist ultimately, of course, but it doesn't even exist conventionally. So anything that does fulfill those three criteria does exist conventionally. So, you exist conventionally. You are not being refuted by the wisdom analyzing the ultimate. So what then is the opposite of negation? The inherent existence of you. Okay? So then, in practical terms, there is the advice given to then, go to a bustling marketplace, or even more, more famously, to recall a time you've been accused of something you didn't do, and then the thought, I didn't do it. How does the mind, how does the I, how do you appear at that time? And there appears to be a kind of I that is independent of the body and mind. Okay? So that you have to check. Of course, in the examples, right, sometimes it's a little, not quite all the way there, right? That thought that there is some sense of an I that somehow controls the body and mind, right? We say my body, my mind, and then there's this I that's independent. Normally the Lamas explain like that, right? I've explained like that many times. But actually when you look into it, it doesn't seem that that's the fully fledged object of negation. But it gets us quite close, right? So anyway, this you spend a lot of time trying to identify the object of negation. Then second point, ascertaining the pervasion. Okay? Pervasion, remember, means if something is X, it's necessarily Y. Okay? So if something is inherently existent, it necessarily has to be inherently one or inherently different. Right? So if something exists, it's either one or many, right? Yes? It's either one or many, if something exists. Right? Therefore, the horn of a rabbit, is it one or many? It's neither. It doesn't exist. Okay? Then, am I one with the cup? No, I'm different from the cup. Is the horn of a rabbit one with the cup? No. Is it different from the cup? No. But the cup is one with the cup. Okay? So then, if something is inherently existent, it's either inherently one or inherently different from the cup. Or any other phenomena, right? So you can say the aggregates. If the person were inherently existent, it would be inherently one with the aggregates or inherently different from the aggregates. There's no third option. That is what is meant by ascertaining the pervasion. You guys understand? Then you refute those individually. You refute inherent oneness, right? So the I, and by the way, I'm using the I as the basis of investigation for inherent existence. So the I, if it inherently exists, it's either inherently one with the aggregates or inherently different with the aggregates. Is it inherently one with the aggregates? Then we refute that. If it is inherently one, then it'd be exactly identical. Right? So then, those faults that would occur if they were exactly identical are explained in the great text by Nagarjuna, Chanakya, and so forth, where Nagarjuna says, right, since the aggregates are many, if the I were inherently one with the aggregates, the I would also be many. There's 5 aggregates, there'd be 5 I's. Inherent oneness means exactly the same in every way. Okay, right? The cup, this cup is one with the cup. But this cup is not one with this cup. They're different. So the only thing that is one with a cup, with this cup, is this cup. Even this came in a pack of 6. The other one that has the exact same, shape, is not one with this cup. There's only one thing that's one with this cup. This cup in my hand right now. Okay? Right?
Yeah.
So, if the I were inherently one with the aggregates are 5, the I would have to then be 5. Right? Anyway. Now, inherent difference. If something were inherently different, you would have to have no relation to each other whatsoever. Which means, in a place where the aggregates were, didn't exist, you could find the I. Right? If they're totally no relation, like a cat and a dog. Are a cat and a dog related? No. How do we know? Then in a place where there's a dog, there doesn't necessarily have to be a cat. Right? It's totally unrelated. You can have one without the other. Of course you can have both sometimes. You can have neither both times. Right? But if something is related, like smoke and fire, like impermanence and product, right? Then where you find one, you have to have the other. If they're unrelated, then kind of anything goes. But there is, never a place where you can say, oh, maybe actually some of you in this class, we can say, yeah, oh, her body was here in the classroom, but her mind was somewhere else. I maybe say that, but it's just a way of speaking. Right? You're all here in this room. Right? Why? Because your aggregates are here in the room. So there is a relation. But yet that relation is not inherent. Anyway, then by refuting those two, inherent oneness and inherent difference, since you already ascertained the pervasion, then you realize that the I doesn't inherently exist. So this is what we were saying. Logical reasoning through non-observation. What is not being observed? Inherent oneness or difference. So to put it into like a syllogism format, the I is not inherently existent, right? Because it is, lacks inherent oneness or difference with aggregates. It is not inherently one with or different from the aggregates. Okay? So that's the kind of logical reasoning. Okay? Aban. Yeah? First step, object of negation. Identifying object of negation. Identifying the pervasion. Refuting inherent oneness. Refuting inherent difference. Okay? Alright. Okay?
Please, can you repeat that one sentence once more, please, without identifying the object of negation?
Yeah, maybe contacting. Ascertaining its lack of existence is impossible.
In general,
Huh?
one and same or different?
Okay, look. So, in general, the I is different from the aggregates. Right? But the I isn't inherently different from the aggregates.
It's not inherently different from the
It's not inherently different from the aggregates, but it's different from the aggregates. The only thing that is identical with the 5 aggregates is the 5 aggregates. So the I, even like for example, right? Product and impermanent are different. Same entity, but different isolates. If it's different isolates, it means it's different. For something to be the same, it has to be, you know, like even for example, the President of the United States and Donald Trump is different. It's different sounds. One phenomena. This is another example of same one nature, different isolates. Right? For something to be the same, has to be same meaning and same sound describing it. Right? Although, you know, anyway, we won't get into too many debates about this. Is pani and water the same or different?
Same.
Same!
Yeah, just 2 different names for the same thing. That's 2 different
One
sounds.
nature.
It's a kind of a debate, actually.
That's 2 different sounds, isn't it?
However, my question is,
Yeah.
we have the self-grasping,
Yeah.
self-grasping.
No, but
This is self-Tenzin. So
Yeah.
that way, that's the way of perceiving or self-grasping in common, right? Grasping is in different from the aggregates or in one with the aggregates, because these both are the mistaken way. Both right? It's thinking that the I is in sync with the aggregates is also false, and thinking that I is different from the aggregates is also false. Both are mistaken view. So my question is self-grasping that generally the people have the sentient beings unenlightened. So that's kind of different. Which one?
Yeah, okay, so.
Of these 2.
Yeah, no, so that's the thing. You see, Kunchoku is asking, the self-grasping mind, does it grasp to the I being inherently one with the aggregates or being inherently different from the aggregates? That's your question, right?
That's my question.
So, I'm saying neither. Or, okay, it's like this, right? You could have self-grasping that grasps to the aggregates as being inherently one, right? You could have a grasping that they're inherently different. But self-grasping itself, see, it's neither.
Which means that the self being different from the aggregates is the non-Buddhist school's view, and other than self, one with the aggregates is the Buddhist school, other than the prasangika.
Okay, look. See, okay, it's like this. We have self-grasping that is so-called, you know, kunta, or intellectually acquired, and then we have the lenke, right? The kind of, what is it, spontaneous, or the, spontaneous?
Innate.
Innate, okay. Innate grasping, right? Okay. So, the real root of samsara is the innate grasping to true existence. Okay. Now, that is present in all sentient beings. Well, okay. Don't talk about the 10th ground bodhisattva who's about to attain Buddhahood in the next second. Okay. So a cow has innate grasping to true existence. But in order to grasp something as being truly one or truly different, one has to engage in philosophical tenets. So the grasping that the self would be truly existent, one with the aggregates, is not the root of samsara. It's only an intellectually acquired grasping to true existence. Okay? So, same with grasping as inherently different. It's intellectually acquired only. So, when we talk about just grasping at true existence itself, That's not an intellectually acquired one.
Yeah.
There can be intellectually acquired grasping, but, you know, it's like this, right? Like, you know, like, is the subject, you know, human being a man or a woman? Is it a man? No. Is it a woman? No. There can be human beings who are men. There can be human beings who are women. But a human being itself is neither man or woman. Right? Right. So in the same way, grasping to true existence, there is grasping to truly existent oneness. There is grasping to truly existent difference. But the grasping to true existence isn't grasping at either of them. Right? So hold on. So now you're saying, oh, the non-Buddhist schools, they're grasping that the self is truly existent different. Well, they might have that view, but they also have a kind of innate grasping to true existence that isn't necessarily thinking, oh, it's one or different. You know? So that's why, even when you say the grasping of true existence in the mental continuum of a non-Buddhist, is that grasping to truly existent difference? I would also say no. Because there is just a mere kind of innate grasping, not even intellectualizing, oh, is it one or the same? But when we refute the concept of inherent existence, if we refute inherently existent sameness or difference, we refute inherent existence, full stop. But if we grasp the true existence, we don't have to grasp the truly existent, sameness or difference. Do you understand?
So, either of these 2 points, if it does not get negated, that means that exists.
What?
Last 2 points refuting inherent existence in relation to oneness and refuting inherent existence in relation to difference. So, if both the points it gets negated, then only it is complete negation.
Yes.
And when we meditate on self for the emptiness, so that oneness, I mean the object of negation, it is that I which is apart from body and mind, right?
No.
Okay.
The object of negation is the truly existent I, or the true existence of the I. Then we check that truly existent I isn't inherently one with the aggregates. Okay? Now, the conventional I is not identical with the aggregates. It's not, yeah? But that isn't what we're talking about here. Hello? Object of negation is the truly existent I. So just to think, or just to look for the conventionally existent I, if we search from head to toe, we also won't find. But that doesn't mean we've refuted inherent existence. Right?
It's basically independent existence. I is existing independently.
Yeah, so independent existence is another synonym, you could say, for true existence, inherent existence, and so forth. Okay.
Just an off question. Are these concepts more complicated in English versus Tibetan?
No. No. You see, I admit, maybe I'm not doing a good job, but one needs to put in a lot of groundwork at the beginning, right? We're learning a lot of new terminology, kind of a lot of new concepts. But once you build that out, that framework out, I think a basic conceptual understanding is reasonable to attain. Basic conceptual understanding. So that means, we understand every word on the page, right? That does not then entail realization, right? Just like, yeah. If I explain, like how an orange tastes to someone who's never tasted an orange, you say, okay, yeah, oh, it's a little bit like this. Alright. Okay, let's end now.
Difference between emptiness and dependent.
It's a good question. Yes. Okay, so just so you guys all understand, I said, okay, so let's end now. Then Bharat asked the question. The difference between emptiness and dependent arising. So it's a great question, but it will, to answer that really completely, probably would take, no, I mean like an okay job, probably take 3 hours of explanation. And like, okay. So I'm going to do something not okay just to fulfill your wish a little bit. Okay. The difference between emptiness and dependent arising . Okay. Emptiness is a non-affirming negation. Dependent arising is not.
Sorry? What?
Upside down pots in the back. These like schoolgirls passing notes and like, emptiness is a non-affirming negation, dependent arising is not. Dependent arising has 3 levels of subtlety. There's dependent arising based on causes and conditions, dependent arising based on parts, and dependent arising based on the basic designation, the label, and the mind applying the label to the base. Okay? The realization of dependent arising in the first 2 ways is less subtle than the realization of emptiness. But I think, in my opinion, my understanding at this point, the most subtle dependent origination actually needs to be realized only after one has realized emptiness. Okay? To realize that something has just been merely labeled by the mind, merely it refutes true existence, right? So actually, there's a statement in Lama Zopa's illumination of the thought, where it says, to realize something is a conventional truth, one first needs to find the Madhyamika view, the middle way view. Why? Because to realize something is a conventional truth, one has to realize that it is zumba, like deceptive, a deceptive appearance. To realize something is a deceptive appearance, you have to realize that the way that it appears and the way it exists doesn't, coincide. And to do that, you need to first refute true existence on the basis of the object, because everything appears to be truly existent. Okay? Right? You understand? So of the two, ultimate truth and conventional truth, right? To realize conventional truth, very easy. We all realize conventional truth. But we don't realize that something like the book is a conventional truth. That make things more clear? It does it. It's a very subtle point that you understand?
Why is it difficult?
Huh? We say, if you realize a book, you realize conventional truth. Right? Do we?
No.
No!
Yes, yes.
By the way, sometimes when you guys answer, even you say the right answer, and I'll be like, what? I'll do that. I do that. Okay, that's one of my tactics to see. Because Shanti just then, she flip-flopped like in 2 seconds. Okay? I do that to check how much conviction you have in what you're saying. Okay? So don't take that reaction as an affirmation or,
Deceptive.
Yeah. Okay? Skillful means, don't say deceptive. If we realize the book, do we realize conventional truth?
No.
Of the book, yes.
Of the book?
Yeah, I mean, conventionally is there, no? It's a book, we know.
You're not, you maybe didn't listen to what I was saying.
We realize conventionally we realize.
In Lama Tsongkhapa's illumination of the thought, which is what? What is that a commentary of? Indrani?
Madhyamika Avatara.
Yes. So, Lama Tsongkhapa composed 5 texts on emptiness. You should all know them. You should know their order. And you should read all 5. The last one he composed was Illumination of Thought, the commentary on Chandakirti's Madhyamika Avatara. In that he says, to realize that something, a basis, is conventionally existent, a conventional truth, one first has to ascertain the middle way view. It means realize emptiness. Why? Because to realize something is a conventional truth, right, or obscurational truth, kunzo dempa, then one has to realize that it is false or deceptive. To realize that it's deceptive, one has to realize that the way it appears and the way it exists are mitumpa, not incongruent. Yeah? Yeah? And to do that, one has to refute its true existence. Hello?
Yeah.
To realize something is an obscurational truth.
And that has to be Prasangika Madhyamika version of true existence or Shatantika Madhyamika?
Shanti? In general, that's an okay question. But coming from you, That's a leaky pot question. In the Prasangika Madhyamika school, if someone realizes emptiness, what do they have to realize?
Lack of inherent existence.
Okay, so the lack of inherent existence, that is the definition of emptiness in how many of the Buddhist schools?
Only Prasangika Madhyamika.
So then by extension, you answer your own question. For the class.
True existence, if we say, we're talking about the Prasangika Madhyamika.
Yes. In other words, to refute, according to the Prasangika Madhyamika school, a person who has refuted true existence has done so according to the definition of true existence of the Prasangika Madhyamika school. Necessarily. To realize emptiness, you have to realize emptiness according to the Prasangika Madhyamika school. Otherwise, you haven't had the realization. You've realized something grosser. Okay? So, what is the upshot of this? Oh man.
Knowing the book is...
Only the
not
Buddha
the-
understands, realizes
Okay.
conventional truth.
But, if you realize the book, you realize conventional truth.
No.
Hold on. If you realize, there's a difference between realizing the book is a conventional truth and realizing conventional truth. That's the distinction we have to make. Right? So we say we realize conventional truth because we realize the book. Do we realize the book is the conventional truth? No, unless we realize emptiness. And why do we say that? Anyway, this gets into a very more quite difficult point, but yeah. You see, again, with I know I've explained this before, but anyway. The last moment of the path of preparation, okay? That bodhisattva, let's say he's only first started in the Mahayana path, okay? That bodhisattva has realized emptiness. Does that bodhisattva realize emptiness directly?
No.
Why not?
It is not yet on the path of seeing.
Okay, great. So it's a conceptual realization of emptiness. In the next moment, that'll change to a non-conceptual realization of emptiness, by the way. Last moment of path of preparation. Right? Okay. But that conceptual realization of emptiness, what is appearing to it?
Emptiness.
And what else?
The inherent existence of and what else?
What is the appearing object of a conceptual consciousness?
Meaning generality.
So the meaning generality of emptiness appears. Okay? If you guys don't know meaning generality, well, yeah. It's outside the scope. But the meaning generality of emptiness is emptiness is a conventional truth or ultimate truth?
Ultimate truth.
The meaning generality of emptiness?
Ultimate truth.
Ultimate truth.
Well, it is it's a mistaken view, but it's
Right. Huh? Okay. Just I won't debate with you guys. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to spoon feed you now because, you know, it's like sometimes the mother, you know, takes so long for the baby to do it itself. So then the mother just spoon feed. The meaning generality of emptiness is the conventional truth. Emptiness is an ultimate truth. The last moment of the path of preparation, that mind realizes the meaning generality of emptiness and emptiness. So that mind, it is said in the text, realizes both conventional truth and ultimate truth directly. Now, wait a minute, Namjong, before you were saying that's a special quality of Buddha,
Yes, exactly.
direct perception. Okay? To directly, have a direct, non-conceptual realization of the two truths simultaneously is only found in Buddha. But for a conventional mind, for a conceptual mind, that can be done by sentient beings. Okay? So, simultaneously.
Not simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
Yeah?
Yes. I'm saying the last moment of the path of preparation.
Yeah, last
one moment. It realizes both emptiness and the meaning generality of emptiness. So this is very clear in the text, right? Because this doubt comes up.
But then cognitive obscuration is, when you remove cognitive obscuration, then only you can see things simultaneously, which Buddha achieved. Then what is the difference?
So, a direct non-conceptual realization is only found in Buddha. You can have a direct conceptual realization before you become a Buddha.
Direct conceptual realization?
And non-conceptual.
Direct
So
conceptual is
cognitive obscuration removes the non-conceptual.
And non-conceptual. And non-conceptual.
direct conceptual realization.
Conceptual and non-conceptual.
The simultaneous, direct, non-conceptual realization of the two truths is a quality only found in Buddhas. Direct realization of the two truths is found in non-Buddhas
Are you able to set one also?
by a conceptual mind. Okay,
Even saying Ling.
so that's it.
Venerable, thank you. Help for master's class preparation test number 5, 6.
Okay. Alright. So let's end here. We'll dedicate the merit due to the merit that we've accumulated over 3 times. Then may all sentient beings be free of all suffering and quickly attain the highest state of enlightenment. We dedicate the merit for the long lives of the spiritual friends, particularly His Holiness Dalai Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Dedicate for the flourishing of the Holy Dharma, particularly the Mahayana teachings. Then we dedicate to all the beings that we've been asked to pray for, including all the members of the center, all the benefactors, and so forth. Dedicate for no more illness, natural disasters, war, or any undesirable thing to occur in this or any of the world systems of the 10 directions from now until the end of the samsara. We dedicate for all the beings who have recently died, may they be born in the Pure Land of Buddha where they can achieve enlightenment. And particularly for all of us, may we have all the conditions to continue to study and practice the Dharma so we can become great holders of sutras and tantras in this very lifetime, and thereby cause the holy teachings to spread in all directions for everyone. Okay. So, please make some effort. Now, I'm not saying you guys haven't, but you know, read, study. This is not enough. So read other authentic texts on emptiness. Yeah, and yeah, I'll see you next month.